Welcome to It's Happening in Grand Prairie. I'm Georgia Clemson, and we have a great show for you today. And we get to start off with a wonderful guest, Dr. Angela Lucky. Welcome, Angela.
You know, it's always great to be on your show, and thank you for having me again.
Of course. And we have so much to talk about. I don't know if we're going to have enough time to get it all in. We have so many wonderful things happening this month. And it is Black History Month. So we want you to tell us all about how that got started and give us some information on that.
Well, you know, Black History Month throughout our country, and like for me, I celebrate Black History Month every day because I'm always in the library here in Grand Prairie, and I do genealogy, I research the history, but for some reason, the month of February is the month they decided, hey, we want to recognize Black History Month. And so that have been carrying on throughout our country history, where the month of February is the designated month by our government, our president of the United States as well, to recognize Black History Month during the month of February. And some of the things that we're doing here in Grand Prairie, I'm so excited about, is that the first Thursday, which is February the 6th, at 3:45 p.m., we have 80 students. We have 80 students that will be attending. And what we're calling it, and I don't want to offend anyone with it, but it's called Black Bingo. And it just means we will be talking about the African American heritage, history in the country, and also we will be doing local history here as far as playing bingo. So children will have an opportunity to win prizes. It's a day of fun and activities, and also it's a day of excitement for the children to learn Black history, because a lot of that is being taken out of the schools.
Well, that sounds exciting and a fun way to learn for the children. And where will that be and when?
That will be held at the Dalworth Recreation Center, and it will be at 3:45 p.m., and it's on Thursday, February the 6th. So, again, we have 80 students. If you have a child that's here in the district, out of the district, but they live in Grand Prairie, please bring them by the Dalworth Recreation Center. We will feed them. They will have hot dogs, chips, drinks, cookies, and we're going to also have them a gift bag with African American history information inside of those bags.
Oh, that sounds good. I'd love to drop by and just see them.
Yes, come over and play some bingo.
Yes, that sounds great. Now, what else have you got going on in February?
And something else that I'm really proud to have here in Grand Prairie, your mother, your late mother, the former Mayor Pro Tem, Ruthie Jackson, was really great about going inside of the homes of many African Americans, just recording the history, saving that information. So on Thursday, February the 19th, at the Grand Prairie Chamber of Commerce building at 7 o'clock p.m., we have a program, and the theme is Our Black History is Under Attack. Help us save our history. And some people say, well, how did you come up with the title? Well, it's simple. The Black history information is under attack, and we want to save the history. And your mom, Ruthie Jackson, did a great job with recording the history, getting the history. Because this give you an example. We have an illustration book that's titled The History and Perspective of African American. And it's an illustration book, got great pictures, got information, but it does not cover the history, the Black history of Grand Prairie. Like if someone wanted information about how did the schools form for Black children here, you know, who were the people that was instrumental in starting the Black schools for education for Black students? Where were the Black farmers? Did Black people own anything? What was the contributions of African Americans to Grand Prairie? You won't find that in the illustration book. And on the videos that Ruthie Jackson, the former Mayor Pro Tem, did in Grand Prairie, it covered that information. And we need to get that information, and we need to put that information inside of a book. Also, having her picture in a book as a historian that was so instrumental in covering the history. And that's why February the 19th is important to me, is because I want to make sure that Grand Prairie Black history is not rewritten and it's not changed and it's not forgotten, and that we can use some of the information that your mom covered for Grand Prairie, and that we can educate the newcomers that's coming to Grand Prairie about the history of Grand Prairie when it comes to African American history.
Yes, and I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I didn't realize when she was doing all those videos that it happened in Grand Prairie, covering the history, how important those would be to us today and for the future.
Yes.
And I know that our producer, Don Johnson, has been very busy getting those digitized and getting them on video, excuse me, and getting it where we can watch it on YouTube.
Yes, and that's awesome. I've had an opportunity to go and look at many of the videos that she did that's out there on YouTube. A lot of wonderful information, and it needs to be recorded. Like we're doing this interview right now in the Grand Prairie, the Charles England Public Safety Building. The first black police officer for Grand Prairie was Henry Babe Redmond. And that information needs to be covered. Like, you won't find it in the illustration book. There's no mention of that. And that is the reason that we need to do publication that speak about the African American history here in Grand Prairie.
That is so important. And I love the fact that we do have some of it recorded.
Yes.
And we have history personally. My mother interviewed your grandmother, Aula Reed.
Yes.
And your dad.
Yes.
And of course, you have been on many of her shows.
Yes.
But I just think that is so remarkable that we have generational history there.
Yes. Well, you know, Grand Prairie got incorporated, I think, around about 1909 in the city where it came up with the name of Grand Prairie. But when you look at the census record, my family was already in the area in the 1800s, according to the census records. And they owned their own farms here in the area, which was not known as Grand Prairie, but this is where they live. So a lot of times people say, well, where did Angela come from? And I have to tell them, baby, I was raised and born in Grand Prairie. Go to the census. My family was already here back in the 1800s. And your mother, the Mayor Pro Tem, Ruthie Jackson, had an opportunity to interview my great-grandmother,
Yes.
who was also Eastern Star. Her father, Frederick Douglass Reed, he raised his children here. Have a lot of history. And not only on the Reed side, when you take a look at the Bear Creek area, when you hear names like Jim Jones, the last name Green, Rogers, Alfred Rogers, a lot of those individuals' names are not current with our current history. And you won't find them in this illustration book, but these are the individuals that own a lot of land. And they also donated land to have a park that was a park now that Grand Prairie have over in the Bear Creek area.
Yes.
And so these are individuals that we want to make sure that our children know about these wonderful people, and also they are family members.
Yes.
So just a lot of wonderful history of what my family contribute to Grand Prairie. And sometimes I forget about my mother. My mother didn't grow up here. My mother background family them comes from the Moore side, and when I did my DNA ancestry, I had a match. I had a match with a police officer that had retired as a police officer. And the whole entire time while he was a police officer, I did not know that he was a relative, and he was a close relative. And he retired. Once he retired, when we did the DNA, he matched my mom and he matched my DNA, our match there. And that's why it's important that we talk about history and not be afraid of talking about history. Sometimes people don't want to talk about the history.
Right.
But there's a lot of history in Grand Prairie. When I take a look, Grand Prairie have had its share having individuals that was electrocuted by the state of Texas. It's in the archives, but sometimes we don't go that far back and we don't do that kind of research. And like with me, I've had an opportunity consistently for the last 7 years to be at the library researching information. and the information is rich, it's heritage, and it's just something that I think that we should be proud of. And I'm just welcome the whole entire Grand Prairie to come out to these events that we have planned this month in February.
Yes, to learn more about our Black history
Yes.
of Grand Prairie. That is so important. We have many families. I know the Dave family, Alexandria and her
Yes.
sister, that he was a big landowner in Grand Prairie as well.
Yes, Mr. Dave legacy continues to live on through his granddaughters
Yes.
with Valeria and Alexandria. They were little girls when her mother used to take me and my sisters along with them when they were little girls to the roller rink skating ring. Her dad Speedy. So I spent many days up there on that farm. They used to have what they call a black rodeo. The rodeo now is a pond full of water. I mean, you know, that a company have here. But I remember going to the black rodeos here in Grand Prairie, right there in that field, where they would have black cowboys that would come to Grand Prairie and ride their horses. So, I mean, just going back and taking a look at the memories like that. And like my mom grew up in the country. My mom, Shirley, grew up in the country. So I know what it looks like, and I know how to milk a cow. A lot of people didn't have that experience milking a cow or don't even know what an outhouse is. But Angela had that experience because I grew up and visit my relatives that still lived what we call back up in the woods.
Yes.
And so forth. So I don't take anything for granted. I don't take life for granted. And I'm very appreciative. And my gratitude for history, it says a lot because I want to know more about the history, not only of Grand Prairie, but about the history here in our country as well.
Yes, and I know you're so passionate about that. We could talk about that for the rest of the show. But we've got to wrap up just a little bit, but I'm so excited to say that Dr. Angela was in Washington, D.C. recently for what?
You know, I got an invitation to attend the 60th inaugural ceremonies to watch our president now, Donald Trump, that was being sworn in for the second time. And today on the show, I would like to present you with an invitation because I know you was doing great things in Grand Prairie and you just could not make it.
Very, very honored to be able to receive a treat from Washington, D.C.
From Washington, D.C.
Yes.
You get your own picture, President Donald Trump.
Thank you.
I'm going to be passing these over.
Oh, thank
You're
you,
also going to get one of our Vice President,
yes,
J.D. Vance. And then you have the Fisher program. How nice is that? You get to go back and read all the information in here.
Beautiful.
And then you have your invitation right here that you can make a part of your library in history. And I'm going to give you the envelope right here.
Thank you, dear.
I'm going to present you with one ticket as if you were there at the inauguration. That way you have you a ticket as well.
Oh,
so now you have the entire packet.
Thank you, Dr. Angela. This is really a special honor. And I will say congratulations to you for winning getting the presidential honor that you got as well from President Biden.
Yes, thank you.
That was a wonderful event. And we need to wrap up, but it's been a pleasure talking with you.
I did have one more thing.
Okay.
On February the 6th, at the event at the Dalworth Recreation Center, the children will make a commitment. This is something that the Grand Prairie NAACP is rolling out, and it's Martin Luther King Jr.'s 6 principles of nonviolence. And Principle 1 talks about nonviolence as a way of life for courageous people. Principle 2 is nonviolence seeks to win friendship and understanding. Principle 3 is nonviolence seeks to defeat injustice, not people. Principle 4 is nonviolence holds that suffering can educate and transform. Principle 5 is nonviolence chooses love instead of hate. And then Principle 6, nonviolence believes that the universe is on the side of justice. Thank you.
Yes, and we can all say amen to nonviolence.
Amen to nonviolence.
And thank you again for being with us. God bless you and your family as well.
Thank you. Thank you.
And we'll be right back.
Grand Prairie, it's time to bag the bag and grab the bin. The city is no longer collecting recycled items in plastic bags because plastic bags damage processing equipment. Instead, use your recycling bin to hold items for pickup. And remember, only glass bottles and jars, metal cans, and paper products are okay. For more information, please visit gptx.org/recycling.
Welcome back, and welcome to our next two guests, two of my very favorites, and one of my favorite topics as well. Welcome to Alina Harris and Sarah Dedelic.
Yes, thank you for having us.
Oh, of course. This is one of my favorite times of the year, one of my favorite shows, because we get to talk about one of my favorite big events.
Yes, ma'am. We're there
Tell us
again.
about it.
Yes, we're happy to just come back to the big event again. And this is a citywide event of a community service where we gather volunteers, and we're actually having neighbors helping neighbors.
Yes.
We match volunteers with projects that are qualified for our event, and we are doing a spring cleanup for our residents that need help.
Yes, I love that, what you said, neighbors helping neighbors, because that is a wonderful opportunity for both neighbors, the ones who are helping and the ones who receive the help.
Volunteer, yes ma'am.
So that is so exciting. And tell us when that is.
So this year is going to be March 22nd. It's from 8 a.m. till 1 p.m. And we have a wonderful area where we're just going to get together for a kickoff. That's going to be at the Epic Central. And we started last year, and it was wonderful.
Yes, and how many years have we been doing this now?
This is actually the 8th year. It became a tradition for our city, and thanks to you, you brought the idea from your grandson.
Yes.
And now it became ours as well, as being Grand Prairie being the first city that brought big event. And it's a similar event as the Texas A&M hosted, and we're happy to have it.
Yes, we are so happy to have it. And over the years, if we just think about, don't we do about 100 jobs each year?
Yes, ma'am. We do 100 jobs. Last year we had over 1,600 volunteers, and we collected 47 tons of trash.
Isn't that amazing?
That is wonderful.
We need to keep Grand Prairie beautiful, and that's one of the ways we do it.
Absolutely, and we do it every year.
Yes. And how can I get involved?
Well, our portals right now are open, and you can register as a volunteer or request a job, or of course we're going to need some sponsorship just because the event is based on sponsorship only. So we need sponsors as well. And you can sign in, you can submit an application at gptx.bigevent.
Big event. And tell me some examples of some of the jobs that you do at the big event.
Oh, we have quite a few neighbors that need either a flower bed replaced, or a fence painted, or some bushes or some trees cut. Some backyard cleaning. It's only going to be outside the property, so we don't get in any resident's property. But we always find something to do. We also take care of parks. Our parks need help all the time, need some TLC. So we cover that as well.
That is so nice. And I know a lot of the people who benefit from this are some of the elderly, or some people who are having health issues that just can't take care of some of the heavy yard work that they need done. So it is a real blessing to those people to have that done
for
spring.
Sure. Yes, yes.
And Miss Sarah, I know you have been with the big event, been with us from the beginning as well.
Yes, ma'am.
And give us a little bit of history of what you've seen and how it's evolved.
Well, you know, this is our 8th year, and so it's just so exciting to see kind of it grow, and us be able you know, in the first couple of years, we were kind of making it up as we were
Yes,
going.
yes.
This was a huge endeavor for our city it takes lots of city departments all working together to, you know, collect 47 tons of trash.
Yes.
And so it's really exciting to have, you know, our goal is always 1,000 volunteers doing 100 jobs within the city. And, you know, every year it works out. But I'll tell you that the deadline to sign up, either as to submit a job or a volunteer group or to sponsor, to make sure your name and logo and stuff gets on T-shirts and all of the publications and recognitions that we do for that, is March 1st. And, you know, that has to be a hard deadline just because there's, you know, once that portal closes, there's lots of moving parts on the back end to match those 1,000 plus people with all the jobs that we're doing, and the logistics, the maps, you know, we have a huge support with Republic Services and our other departments, parks, you know, they have trailer loads, they go around all these houses and help collect all of those things. So there's a lot of work that happens after the portal closes on March 1st. So I would just encourage anybody watching your show, if they are interested in this, to please sign up and do it early. So that way we know how many volunteers we're going to have, so we know how many jobs that we can do. You know, talking about historical reference, you know, 8 years now that this has been happening in our city. The first couple of years we had more volunteers than, quite honestly, we had jobs for, so we had to scramble quickly and make sure that, you know, we were able to put them on some trails and some creeks and some things like that, to make sure that everybody had a substantial job to do and really feel good at the end of the day. And, you know, it ebb and flows. February is always a really important month for us to really heavily recruit volunteers. So there again, I would just encourage your viewers, if they're interested, to please sign up.
Yes, because that March 1st deadline is very important that they get signed up. And I know Alina mentioned the portal, but there are some people who may just need to pick up the phone and call. Is that correct?
Yes, so you can go either to the website, gptx.org/big event, sign up that way, or you may reach out to Alina directly, and her telephone number is 972-237-2014. And, you know, we'll do packet pickup ahead of the 22nd, that Saturday, for all of our group leaders to come collect all of their supplies, T-shirts, trash bags, gloves. You know, we supply everything we can, which is why sponsors are so important, because, as you know, this is funded purely on sponsorships. So we really do require, you know, sponsors to help.
Right, and we've had some very good, faithful sponsors in the past. I know we can't name all of them, but we've had some pretty big sponsors, haven't we?
We have. You know, I know, like you said, we can't name all of them. There's always sponsorships at different levels because we need help buying the supplies, but then also there's in-kind sponsorships and providing fruit for all of our volunteers the morning of at the kickoff at Epic Central, or cases of water because we want to make sure everybody stays hydrated. You know, Lone Star Park has always been really great at breakfast granola bars, providing those for our groups, and so there's lots of ways to get involved and participate in the
And I
big
believe
event.
we're going to have breakfast tacos this year, aren't we?
We are. Vidora is going to provide those for us, so we're so grateful. And we'll have hot coffee that morning. So
Yes.
at the kickoff, it's always a real fun kind of pep rally type atmosphere. And then we send everybody off right at 9 o'clock to go complete their job that morning.
Yes, and it's so wonderful. I'm so excited. I'm so thrilled about this year, especially because, as you said, my grandson Blake Garcia is the one who brought me the idea back and was able to present it to the city. And here we are 8 years later and have helped so many people and have collected so many tons of trash. I told him that he and his wife need to come back to the kickoff because they're expecting our first great grandchild.
That's right.
I'm so
Congratulations.
excited. Our
Yes.
first grandson is having our first great grandson. So
That's wonderful.
we're looking forward to that for many reasons. But you ladies have done just a fabulous job with this, and your team. We could go on and on and on about your team. They're just wonderful. I know Amy Sprinkles has been in there from the beginning as well, and so many. So thank you. We're looking forward to it, and our viewers need to really get signed up
Yes,
or
ma'am.
contact you if they want to be a part of this wonderful 8th big event.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for being
Thank you
here.
for having us.
God bless you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, ma'am.
And thank you so much for joining us. I'm Georgia Clemson, reminding you, as always, it's happening in Grand Prairie.